This is Caught in a Christmas Conundrum. Christmas Tree, Pennsylvania Sweet Rom-Com Short Reads, Book 6. Written by Jessie Gussman. Performed by Jay Dyess. Chapter 1. Kate.
All right, that's the last of the mini cheesecakes for the Christmas Tree Festival. My assistant Phyllis stands in the kitchen after shutting the door to our big industrial-sized refrigerator. My catering business is officially 1 year old, and while I'm not wildly successful, it's been better than I had feared. I'm not in danger of going out of business before the end of the year anyway. Not with the Christmas Tree Christmas Festival going on. I better correct Phyllis. You mean the Christmas Tree Christmas Festival, I say, smiling, expecting her to smile and admit that she misspoke. No, the Christmas Tree Festival. We're not catering the Christmas Tree Festival. We're catering the Christmas Tree Christmas Festival. I usually can let mistakes go. I'm not a perfectionist, exactly, but I do like to have things right, and I like the details to line up. On the schedule, it says the Christmas Tree Festival. Phyllis looks at me, her gaze steady. She's not arguing. She pays attention to details the same as I do, and I'm sure she is waiting to make sure that I get it right. I'm ready to open my mouth to argue again, but I decide that it's smarter to just take the 5 steps over to the computer and check. I spoke with Mrs. Brown, who's in charge of coordinating the Christmas Tree Christmas Festival, and that's on Saturday, and that's what we're catering, I say as I wake the computer up and click through a few screens. Mrs. Brown was also in charge of the Christmas Tree Festival, and it is also on Saturday. That's what I booked, Phyllis says, her head tilted, as I glance up at her, like she's making sure I understand that she was the one who put this in the calendar. That's silly because I put it in the calendar. For some reason, my computer is being slow, and I patiently wait for the calendar to load. Living in Christmas Tree, Pennsylvania, a town with Christmas in its very name, we take the holiday seriously. There are festivals galore, as well as parades and parties and dinners and galas this time of year. We'll do anything to get the tourists in, and it's been pretty effective. I would never open a business in a small town like Christmas Tree if we hadn't had that steady inflow of tourist money. Finally, the calendar loads, and it takes a few minutes of looking at the dates for me to understand what exactly the conundrum is. A sinking feeling starts in my stomach, chased away by full-blown, painful, explosive panic. I straighten and look at my assistant. We're booked for both. I swallow hard, although my throat is tight and my hands have suddenly started to sweat. What am I going to do? I'm not prepared to do both, and Saturday is tomorrow. We have everything perfectly aligned, and all of our resources are going toward making sure that everything is perfect for the Christmas Tree Christmas Festival. And somehow, probably because of the similarity of the names and the fact that they're on the same date, with the same point person, neither one of us realized that we were preparing for different festivals. Our town is the stupidest town in the entire world, Phyllis says. Just saying, she adds, rolling her eyes. I can't disagree. The whole reason that there are 2 festivals is because there used to be one, which was run by 2 sisters. The sisters married men who couldn't get along, and the sisters ended up splitting up, one of them going to one side of the town and one of them going to the other side of town, and each of them having their festival on the same day. It wasn't too big of a deal back then, and we're talking 50 years ago. But what started out as a bitter rivalry eventually became a friendly one, as the sisters made up. They continued the tradition of having two different festivals on the same day with very similar names. I know, it's hard to keep track. No wonder we got confused. All right, the bright side of this is that we're going to get paid twice as much as what I thought we were, and it's going to be the biggest payday we've ever had. You're not actually thinking of trying to pull off both festivals? Phyllis asks, incredulity in her voice. I guess I was hoping we could, I say, because that's the only solution I can stand to think about. Canceling one is unconscionable. First of all, it could start another feud, because whatever festival gets canceled is going to be mad at the other one that doesn't. Even though they're both coordinated by Mrs. Brown, there are different people involved in both. Because they're both a big deal. This is the biggest day for outside tourists for our town in the entire year. I'm sorry, I just don't think we have the resources to do this. Even if we could find people to work with us, we'd need to get them trained and help them figure out what to do, and we just don't have enough time. Phyllis's words are reasonable, and I know she's right, but I don't want to cancel. The reputation of my business depends on us being able to fulfill our obligations perfectly, deliciously, and on time. That's my motto, perfect, delicious, and on time. There's gotta be something we can do, I say, and I put my hands behind my back and start to pace. I walk the hallway to the window in the back, turn around, and walk the entire way to the front of the store. I stop and stare out the storefront windows. We don't really have a store, although there is a small counter, and people can come in and place orders for catering in person. Every once in a while, we have a day of takeout. Last year, when I didn't have either festival booked, my grand opening was just having people come and get takeout on the festival day. So far, that was my biggest money day. We are set to overtake it this year, and if we do both festivals, we'll easily triple it or more. My eyes catch on a man walking down the street. He has on a black barbecue apron, and I don't need to see his face to know that it's Lucas Nearhoof. I also don't need to see the apron to recognize it's the one that says, "Last time I cooked, hardly anyone got sick." Phyllis must have laid eyes on him about the same time I did. You could ask Lucas for help. No way. I would rather cancel first. I say, but in my heart of hearts, I know I'm not going to cancel, and I'll do anything. Even ask Lucas Nearhoof to help. I brush my hands down my own apron. I'm wearing the one that says, "Your opinion wasn't in the recipe." Our aprons aren't the only things we compete with. He has won the Christmas Tree Christmas barbecue contest for the last 5 years. I won it 6 years ago, and I've come in second place ever since. It's a bit of a sore subject for me. You need to put your rivalry aside or you might lose one of the festivals, Phyllis says, pulling her lip into her mouth and biting down on it. He's a barbecue guy. I am a caterer. I don't do barbecue. We do good food, I remind her, and maybe I'm a little bit harsh as I speak. But Phyllis knows if my words come out hard, it's because of the rivalry between Lucas and me. Maybe it's also because of my hard feelings about him winning for the last 5 years. After all, I might not do barbecue every day, but mine is pretty stinking good if I do say so myself. I think he cheats. All right, that's fine. You want me to call Mrs. Brown and tell her that we can't do one of the festivals? Phyllis asks, moving from the window as I deliberately turn my back on Lucas. I sigh. No, let me think about this for a moment. I do some calculations in my head. I can go shopping today, I can get the ingredients, and Phyllis and I can work on making all the preparations we can. I assume that the menus are the same for both festivals, since there was never any discrepancy there. I can go back and make sure, but I think it's doable. I'll just need Lucas to share his cooler space and do a little cooking on Saturday. I don't have enough room to store everything, and I can't cook it all either. Plus, he'll need to use some of his people to deliver the food. We can probably stagger the delivery times. One is scheduled to be at 12:30, so we could have some ready at 11:30 for the Christmas Tree Christmas Festival and deliver the other at 12:15. I don't think those times will mess anything up too much. The problem is, I'm going to have to go talk to Lucas, and I've made a point of not talking to Lucas for the last 5 years. Ever since he beat me the first time at the Christmas Tree Christmas barbecue contest. You can do it, Phyllis says softly, patting me gently on the shoulder. I barely feel it. Let me put on a clean apron, I say, lifting my chin and pushing my shoulders back. Then I'll talk to my nemesis. We'll see if we can salvage this thing.
Chapter 2. Lucas. I throw the last brisket in the cooler and untie my dirty, bloodied apron. When I cook, I don't mind having a dirty apron, but I don't like to have a bloodied one. It's just better to be safe than get people sick, even though I joke about it on my favorite apron. I grab another one from the closet and think about my financial situation. I'd been hoping to cater one of the 2 festivals this year, but it seems that Kate got them both. I smile a little as I think about Kate, tying my apron in the back. This apron says, "Everybody deserves a good rub," and it has a picture of a pig on it. Kate and I have become a little famous for apron wars, and I've enjoyed them, I have to admit. Although it would be nicer if we could work together instead of constantly being at each other's throats. I understand that she won the first ever Christmas Tree Christmas barbecue contest, and she's been mad at me ever since I beat her the next year, and every year since. I think it's been 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, I don't know. I don't really keep track. I just know that I seem to have a knack for barbecue and I love doing it. So why not, right? Since I'm not catering anything, I plan to have brisket, and lots of it, available for purchase for the festivals. I'm thinking about that and the sides I'm going to serve with it when the door jangles and someone approaches the counter. I suppose I think about Kate a lot, not just because of our rivalry, but she's very good at what she does, and I admire her. I admire her as a person as well, and I hope the feeling is mutual, although she acts like she hates me. Maybe she does. Regardless, I was not expecting to see Kate in the flesh in my store. Without even thinking about it, my eyes fall to her apron. It says, "It's easier to kidnap skinny people. Eat cupcakes." I snort and then look back at her. Maybe it's my imagination, but it seems like there's a bit of panic in her gaze. She's definitely not smiling. "Good morning, sunshine," I say, giving her my most charming grin. As usual, she acts like she's completely immune to anything charming that comes out of my body.
I have a proposition for you.
I'm sorry, sweetie, I don't do things like that anymore. I'm kidding, but her mouth drops open like there's something sordid in my past she wasn't aware of. "Kate, we grew up in the same small town. You've known me since the church nursery. I'm not secretly a stripper.
Thank God.
she mutters. Then she takes a breath as though marshaling her patience and stares me in the eye.
Are you doing anything on Saturday?
I am. There's a festival. 2, actually. Biggest day of the year for our town.
Would I be able to use some of your cooler space at the very least?
At the very least? What are you trying to say? That's such an odd request and oddly phrased as well.
All right, I'll level with you.
She narrows her eyes at me.
If you agree to call a truce between our rivalry.
We have a rivalry? I guess I have done some good-natured teasing after I win the barbecue contest every year, but come on. That's what I do. It would be embarrassing if the caterer beat me. She doesn't cook barbecue every single day of the year. I don't either, but every time I cook, it's usually some kind of hunk of meat on my smoker or grill, and I've got all kinds of homemade sauces that I slather on that stuff. And if I do say so myself, it's pretty stinking good.
I'm not saying anything until you agree,
she says, crossing her arms over her apron. It's too bad, because it's cute. I put my hands in the pockets of my apron, just in case she didn't read it already, and I pretend to give it some thought. I'm just messing with her. I didn't realize we had a rivalry. I don't have the slightest bit of a problem calling a truce on it. All right, I suppose. How many days do I have to honor this truce? I try to pitch my voice so that I sound annoyed.
Until Saturday night at midnight.
I pretend to think about it some more. She wants to call a truce for the festival. I'm dying to find out why. It's all I can do to wait another 5 seconds before I slowly nod my head. All right, truce. Now spill. I say spill because it's something my little sister would say. I personally never use the word, but it seems like something that might resonate with Kate. And in all of our years, I've never found anything that resonates with her. Not for me. She seems to hate me, even before I beat her at the barbecue contest.
I double-booked the festivals. Mrs. Brown is in charge of both of them this year, and she called me to book the Christmas Tree Christmas Festival, and she called my assistant to book the Christmas Tree Festival. We thought we were doing the same festival and didn't realize until this morning that we're not.
Oh, that's fun, I say, still not seeing how this affects me at all.
I don't have enough room to pre-bake everything. The menus are the same, I just need to get more ingredients. I'm not sure I'm going to have enough manpower to cook everything.
I stare at her, nodding. It almost sounds like she wants me to help her. Really? And then I remember why she insisted on the truce. Not that I ever thought we were fighting, but she wants me on her side. But only until Saturday. That's not nearly long enough. I have been angling for a while to try to get Kate to go out with me. But if she's going to be nice to me until Saturday night at midnight, maybe, just maybe, I can figure out how to win her permanently. Chapter 3. Kate.
This is embarrassing. I shouldn't have come. He acts like I'm really putting him out by asking for a truce, when all we really fight about is our aprons. And that's just passive-aggressive stuff. Neither one of us have ever actually said anything about it. I'm ready to turn around and walk out. I can enlist my mom and maybe my friends Allison and Lucy, although both of them have recently gotten very serious boyfriends and are spending all their spare time with them. I've noticed that this happens to people, even though it's never happened to me, and while I'm sure that they would help me if I asked them to, I don't want them to miss the opportunity to spend the day with someone they love, especially since they've probably been looking forward to it. I'm still trying to figure out what I can do when Lucas says,
Sure. Tell me what you need me to do.
"What?" I say automatically, even though I heard perfectly. I just haven't processed his statement. I think he said he would help me.
I said I would help. Tell me what to do.
Thank you, I say, unable to keep all of the surprise out of my voice. If he is seriously going to help me, I might actually be able to pull this off.
But on one condition.
What's that? I ask, immediately suspicious. I should have known it was too good to be true.
I'll tell you at midnight on Saturday night.
My mouth opens, then it closes. That doesn't make any sense. How can I agree to your condition when I don't know what it is?
I promise it's not illegal, it doesn't involve hurting anyone, and it won't be that hard.
I am on the verge of telling him no. Of course I can't agree to do something without knowing what the condition is. Then I think about my reputation in town and how this will spread and possibly kill any hope I had of ever having a successful catering business in Christmas Tree, and I decide that as long as it's not illegal and no one's going to die or get hurt, what harm can it do? All right, I agree. I feel like maybe I made a huge mistake when a slow grin spreads over his face. He nods and then says,
Meet me at the church on Saturday night, and I'll let you know.
The church? I know I'm blinking at him with a flabbergasted look on my face, but I know he's not going to do anything terrible if we're meeting at the church, for goodness sake. All right, I'll meet you.
Okay, tell me what you need me to do.
It's that easy? Okay then. I already told you that I was going to need you to share some of your cooler space with me while we make some of the desserts and everything that we can possibly make ahead of time. My assistant is awesome, but she's best for decorating and detail work. She's not very good at cooking, and I know you make really great macaroni and cheese.
I'm going to have to use your facility because I can get some barbecue started and my assistant can keep things going if I just supervise every once in a while. But there isn't going to be enough room for me to be making additional things over here.
I feel like he's messing with me. There's plenty of room. In fact, his place is bigger than mine. But do I want to argue about that, or do I want to get it done? That's an easy answer. I want to get it done. All right, we can do it at my place. I am roasting Cornish hens, and while your specialty is barbecue, I'm betting that you can do that pretty well. And I have the ingredients for my sauce, but if you want to use yours, you can. I'm feeling very magnanimous, or I wouldn't have offered to do that. But it makes him smile, and then he lifts a shoulder.
It's up to you. I don't want to overshadow anything that you're doing. I know this is a pretty big deal for you.
He's being so nice. He could have been nasty because I just admitted that I got the catering for both festivals. He surely put in a bid, too, but he's not holding it against me at all. I like that. You can definitely use yours. It'll be fine. I actually like the taste of yours better on the hens.
All right.
He looks around and then says,
I need to finish up a few things in here, and then I'll be over.
That's fine. I'll wait for you, see if I can get a few things together. I'm going to have to make a grocery run. I'll head to the big box store and to the poultry place where I buy my Cornish hens in bulk. But first, I can get him started on a few different things that we'll need to be getting ready. We nod our heads at each other. We're not rivals anymore, but I still wouldn't term our relationship warm or friendly. I take one last look at him and walk out. Oh my goodness, is that Kate coming out of Lucas Nearhoof's store? Kathleen Carson stops on the sidewalk and stares at me. It is. Our rivalry is suspended for the next 2 days. Your rivalry is suspended, she says, like she's never heard of such a thing. To be fair, I've never heard of such a thing either, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to be able to pull off the double booking that I thought was going to ruin me. And Lucas Nearhoof, of all people, is going to help me. I'm not sure I'm ready to admit to the town that I screwed up this bad. I think I want to wait until after I'm sure that everything is fixed. Saturday night at midnight, maybe. It is. You can expect to see us getting along for the next few days. Wow, you suspended your rivalry for the festivals. That's irony, Kathleen says with a laugh. Then she waves and hurries off down the street. That should do it. People will think we suspended our rivalry for the festivals, and hopefully they won't think to ask if there's any other reason. Now all I have to do is get along with Lucas for the next 2 days. That might be harder than it sounds. I have found that once I suppressed my animosity toward him, I find him quite attractive. Animosity is much safer than attraction.
Chapter 4. Lucas. Just because it's Kate, I change my apron again. This one says, I turn grills on. I laugh as I'm putting it on. So appropriate for my interactions with Kate. It might be passive-aggressive, but I have a passive-aggressive attraction type thing. At least, that's the way I see it. Maybe she doesn't see it in the same way. It's a beautiful day out, despite the chill in the air, as I walk across the street to Kate's. The bell jingles happily over my head, and I see Phyllis, Kate's assistant, moving around in the back. Kate's at the counter, bending over. As she stands up, I see her apron. It says, I'm the chef. If you don't like the food, I'll stab you. I laugh out loud at that. Her eyes go to mine, and she huffs out a laugh before she says,
Hey there. I really am appreciative that you agreed to help me.
No problem. Although, how do you know I'm not going to use this opportunity to sabotage everything? Her mouth forms an O, and all laughter flees from her face. I put a hand up. I was just kidding. Seriously, I would not do that. You know me. Sometimes I think she doesn't. She thinks I'm so much worse than what I am. But I guess we do that to people, don't we? We somehow see something negative about them, and then from then on, all we do is find the negative, because that's what we want to see and that's what we're looking for. It's hard for us to see anything positive about them because we just don't want to like them. I've done that at times, and I don't like it when I do. I try hard to see the best in people, no matter what.
So, I hope it's okay, but I wasn't going to tell people that I double booked. I was honest with you, and I don't want to lie to anyone, but I also don't necessarily want that to be part of my reputation.
I won't lie, but I guess you're asking me to not share this with anyone, and I can do that.
People are going to want to know why you're helping me.
After years of us competing at the barbecue contest, I suppose it will look a little odd if we're all of a sudden working together.
Exactly. I'll tell people, but I would really like to wait until after the festival is over.
No problem. I can do that. It's not my goal in life to make things harder for her. In fact, I've always thought Kate and I would make a pretty good team. We could open a restaurant together pretty easily. I'd do the barbecue and she could make meals to go along with that. We could end up having a bunch of different restaurants. But this is the first time in years I've gotten her to sit and have an actual conversation with me. Maybe the idea of us teaming up and having restaurants together is a little bit of a dream right now. I probably should focus on just getting along and maybe turning our cool relationship into a warm friendship. She bites her lip, and my eyes are drawn to that, while she points down at a notebook sitting on the counter. I'm listening, but I'm watching her lips move and only hearing about every other word. She looks back up and says,
Will that be okay?
3 long seconds go by before I realize that she was talking to me and wants me to comment on what she was saying, while I, like the junior high boy I am in my heart, was staring at her lips, not paying the slightest bit of attention to what she was saying. I drag my eyes away, close them for a moment, and then say, I'm sorry, I was thinking about a restaurant idea and totally spaced out there for a moment. Would you mind repeating that? She laughs a little.
I have a dream of opening a restaurant one day, too, so I totally get that. I've been known to get distracted by the smallest thing, whether it's food, desserts, or the menu, and completely lose the train of the conversation.
Yeah, me too. So she does want to open a restaurant someday. Man, if I can only convince her to do it with me. I really would not mind being in business with someone like Kate. She's a hard worker, honest, and serious about making sure that things get done right. I would like to have more than a business relationship with her, though. She repeats what she said before. This time I stare at the counter, keep my eyes off her lips, and manage to hear what she says. Basically, she's going to go shopping, and she's going to put me to work here with Phyllis. That's not what I signed up for. Seems to me like you should have your assistant doing the shopping, and you and I do the actual food prep. She blinks a bit, as though surprised that I'm going to give a suggestion and not just blindly follow her advice. Surely she knows I'm a business owner too, not an employee, and I'm used to calling the shots. I'll do what she wants me to do, but if I see a better way, I'm not going to sit on my thumbs and wait and let it pass.
Okay, I guess that does make sense,
she says, a little uncertainly. I put my hands up. You don't have to do it my way. It just seems to me that if you and I are best at being in the kitchen, we should send other people to do the errands. I hate shopping, so my assistant always does it, and he does it a lot better than I do.
Phyllis loves shopping,
she says, giving me another uncertain glance before she turns around and looks at the woman who was working behind her. Phyllis pulls an earbud out of her ear and looks up.
Did you want me? Yes. Would you mind going to the box store where we usually shop and getting this list of groceries?
She holds up the notebook that she had sitting on the counter.
I'd love to. I need to grab a few things for myself, and this will be perfect.
Kate nods.
I have quantities beside each thing. You'll also have to stop at the poultry outlet and grab those Cornish hens. I'll call to make sure they're ready. Gotcha. I'll do that and be back in an hour and a half. Sounds good,
Kate says, turning back around to me.
Thank you. I appreciate the idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but it just makes sense.
Sure, anytime. I'll throw in my 2 cents, but take it for what it's worth. I'm honestly impressed that she listened to me. Considering that we have such a rough relationship, I kind of expected her to dismiss me out of hand, but she didn't. That shows a strength of character that's impressive. Of course, I didn't need anything more to admire about Kate. Chapter 5. Kate.
Phyllis has gone to get the supplies we need. I have to admit Lucas was right about that. Maybe having someone around who isn't afraid to challenge me, to say they have a better idea, and to share it, talk about it, and potentially make me better, is something I need and didn't even realize it. I cast a covert glance at Lucas, who's working beside me. He's mixing up the spices for the rub he's going to put on the Cornish hens. I love that little bit of beard, his strong nose, the determination to keep working until he gets it right. That determination is part of the reason that he's won the barbecue contest the last 5 years. He is always trying to get better, too. Why haven't I noticed before this that there's so much to admire about him? I guess I was so busy disliking him that it never occurred to me that perhaps there were things I could like. Don't we have a tendency to do that to people? I look at the sweet corn cupcakes that I'm dropping into the cupcake holders just before I put them in the oven. My mind is swirling with thoughts. I know I have a tendency to look at someone, dislike them, and only allow myself to see the bad in them. It's so hard to want to look at someone I don't like and see good. What will it take for me to change my opinion? Why am I like that? I know, intellectually, that there's good and bad in every person. Yet, why am I living like there's not?
You're awfully quiet.
He says as he adds a dash of what looks like paprika into his mixture. I guess I was just thinking about how sometimes when my mind is made up, it's hard for me to change it. I suppose I don't have to be honest about what I'm thinking about, but I'm a big believer in honesty. Unless it hurts someone. In that case, sometimes you're better off just keeping your mouth shut. I definitely agree with that, but some people absolutely refuse to say what they're really thinking or feeling, and I'm not sure I understand why anyone thinks that's a good idea. If it doesn't hurt someone else or isn't going to cause any problems, I guess I don't understand it. Although it's hard to be vulnerable, and sometimes the truth makes us vulnerable. We don't like that.
I suppose I'm like that too. I can be like a dog with a bone. When we're talking about creating new barbecue recipes and making them the very best they can possibly be, I don't like to give up until I'm satisfied that my recipe is the best.
And that's why you win the barbecue contest every year, I say, and I find myself not feeling as much animosity as I expect. How could I? The man is looking at his biggest payday of the year, and I needed help, and he didn't even think about it. He dropped everything just so he could come help me. You're not going to have as big of a financial return on the festival. The thought just occurred to me, and I realize how much he is giving up for someone he doesn't even like. He lifts a shoulder.
I want to see you succeed.
I stare at him. Does he really mean that? I feel like he couldn't possibly. After all, I'm his competition. So what's the catch? I ask, trying to infuse some humor in my voice, like we're just joshing with each other. His head jerks up, and he blinks. He's truly surprised that I even suggested that there might be a catch. His brows draw down, and he shakes his head.
There's no catch. I am serious.
I feel bad. He's convicted me. Obviously, since I assumed that he was joking, I implied that I don't really want to see him succeed. But you're such a competitor, I finally stammer, unsure what else to say.
That's true. I am. I like to compete. I like to win. But we're both in the same small town together. Doesn't it benefit both of us if we're both a success?
How? I ask, and I am a little bit perplexed. After all, I see customers walking into his door, and if his store wasn't there, they would have no choice but to come into mine. So, isn't he taking my customers?
If there are two good places to eat in Christmas Tree, people will be more inclined to move here, visit here, stay here for an extended period of time. After all, they come to my place once, and I'm not saying that people are fickle or easily distracted, but once is enough for a lot of people. Then they want something new. If there's another place for them to eat, they could stay for 2 days and hit up both of us. If there's just me, would they even plan to come to our town? They'd find a different town where there are lots of choices.
Choices paralyze people, I say, knowing this to be true. I walk into the grocery store sometimes, and without a list, my mind feels like it's going to explode.
True, but we often make decisions about where we want to visit based on choices. If there's a place that has a whole lot of places of interest around it, versus a place that has just one thing you want to see, it makes more sense to go to the first spot, where you have lots of choices, right?
He's making a lot of sense, and I'm kind of ashamed that I never thought about it like that before. I truly saw us as actual competitors. Maybe Lucas has a few things he can teach me.
Chapter 6. Lucas. Kate started this conversation. I'm just giving my opinion. It seems to be bothering her. I have the feeling that she didn't believe that I truly meant that I want to see her succeed.
I feel a little ashamed, like I should have thought about that before, but I didn't,
she says, and I can tell that she truly does feel bad. I can also tell that she's thinking pretty hard about what I say, which I really admire. Sometimes people latch on to their own opinions, and there's nothing that you can say to dissuade them from believing something that is absolutely wrong. I really like when people are willing to consider the other side. Of course, there are a few things I would never consider the other side about. My religion, for one. I thought about that for a while when I was younger, made a decision, and I'm not going to listen to anyone try to talk me out of it or try to make me ashamed for what I believe. That seems to be the going thing today. People either try to twist the Bible to make it say what they want it to talk you out of your opinion, or they try to make you feel bad for needing religion as a crutch, or convince you that you're wrong somehow. I just don't listen to that. But beyond that, I'm open to thoughts and ideas that I might not necessarily agree with. After all, what I believe should be able to stand up to any kind of challenge, and if it doesn't, then it means I'm most likely wrong.
I think you actually believe and mean that you do support me and want to see me succeed,
Kate says eventually, her voice soft and thoughtful. I like this serious Kate. She is successful and kind, but this thoughtful Kate is supremely attractive as well. I believe it with my whole heart. The success of the whole town helps me be successful too. It's not a matter of anyone taking something from me. It's a matter of us lifting each other up. My success contributes to the success of the people around me, and their success contributes to mine.
That's such a generous view of life,
Kate says, and I think she's impressed. I don't know why I'm surprised, except I've been trying for years to try to impress her, and if I would have known that this was the way, I would have said it years ago. But God's timing is for a reason. And apparently whatever happened during those years needed to happen so we could have this discussion. Before she says anything else, I sniff. Is something burning? My brows draw down and Kate looks at my face, her eyes opening wide as though seeing me sniffing and frowning makes her remember that,
"Oh no, I forgot to take the last batch out of the oven,"
she says, hurrying to the oven and opening the door, letting out a huge cloud of smoke that soon sets the smoke alarm off. I go over, taking my apron off to wave it around, hoping to dissipate the smoke. I go to the front door and prop it open, and head back and continue to wave near the smoke detector. Meanwhile, Kate has taken the tray of sweet corn cupcakes out of the oven, and they are definitely cooked beyond edibility.
"I can't believe I did that,"
Kate says. "It's okay. It's just one batch. I'll make sure that I don't distract you by talking to you again. I don't know that this is exactly my fault, but I was chatting with her, and it probably didn't help her focus on what she was supposed to do."
"It's not your fault,"
Kate says, glancing at me as she holds the tray in one hand, getting ready to dump them into the trash can. But her eyes seem to catch on something, and her head jerks back to me.
"Really?"
Her voice holds credulity, and she's looking at me with her brows raised. "What?" I say, and then I notice that her eyes are on my apron. I look down. I always wear 2 aprons, and I'd forgotten that I put on the apron that says, "My cooking is so good, even the smoke alarms cheer me on." Coincidence, I say, holding up both hands, one hand still gripping my other apron. I promise I had no idea this was going to happen. Surely she has to believe me. It wasn't like I deliberately tried to distract her and make her keep the sweet corn cupcakes in the oven. I mean, I did take a little bit of blame for it, but it truly wasn't me.
"All that garbage that you were just telling me about lifting other people up, and then I find out the truth, that you're actually plotting to try to destroy everything I'm building."
"No," I say, and then I see the gleam in her eyes. She's messing with me. She's joking. I see this as a good sign. She just burned a batch of sweet corn cupcakes. We're already crunched for time. We're trying to do double the work that she was expecting to have to do, and she should be stressed and crying, and instead, she's poking fun at me and laughing. "You're messing with me," I say, and the smoke detector finally shuts off. She lifts a shoulder, dumping the last of the burnt sweet corn cupcakes into the trash.
"I might have been."
"That was not very nice. I believed you. I was really thinking that you were going to blame me for all of this."
"Don't we usually want to blame others rather than taking responsibility ourselves?"
she says, looking at me with her chin pointed down. It takes a big person to take responsibility for their actions rather than pointing the finger at everyone else. I agree, and I know I'm talking about Kate. She's a big person. She's more intriguing than I had imagined, and I definitely had imagined a lot. Chapter 7. Kate.
I know that Lucas was not deliberately distracting me, but I felt like I was either going to laugh or cry, and I would prefer to laugh. It seems like picking on him and teasing him a bit might help. His reaction was telling. He absolutely did not want me to think for 1 second that he was trying to sabotage anything. He truly believes what he told me, and I absolutely agree. Now I can't believe I didn't see it before. "I'm so glad that thing is off. Thank you." I sigh in relief as the smoke detector finally stops its shrill beeping. It makes my head feel like it's going to explode. I usually end up taking the batteries out of it.
"That's a health code violation,"
he says casually as he shakes out his other apron, then folds it up and sets it aside.
"I think I can keep this one on for now." It seems to be more appropriate for our situation.
His eyes are twinkling as they meet mine, and I love that we can laugh together. I feel like he might be winning the apron contest, though, so I determined as I take the trash out, I'm going to grab another one. I'll be right back, I say as I grab the bag with the burnt sweet corn cupcakes in it.
Do you need me to watch the oven while you're gone?
He asks, in a bit of an exaggerated way that makes me feel like he's totally teasing me. Yes, if I'm gone for more than 30 seconds, you probably ought to check them.
Will do,
he says.
But if I have to do your work and mine, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be much help.
I laugh as I leave. I throw the trash in the bin and grab another apron on my way back through. This one says, "Life is short. Lick the spoon." It's not nearly as appropriate as his, but I can't allow his challenge to go unanswered. We have not talked about the apron war at all, but even if I never win the barbecue contest, I'm going to win the apron war. I need to get a bigger supply. All of my family knows about my aprons, and that's usually what I get for Christmas and my birthday. Although sometimes I get duplicates. I suppose I should pass them on to him. He would look good in a pink frilly apron. I think that sarcastically, but the rational part of my brain says that actually, Lucas would look good in anything. It wouldn't matter how pink or frilly, he will still look manly and confident. It's an attractive quality, that confidence, and I find myself hurrying back, not because I don't want to burn anything, although there is that, but because I want to see him more. He's interesting and fun and funny and sweet, and he has the character to back that all up. How can I not admire him? I walk back in. He has cabbage out and is shredding it for his coleslaw. His eyes meet mine, and I stumble a bit at the look in them. Is that admiration?
Are you okay?
He asks, and there's concern in his face and voice. Yeah, I'm good, I say. Why?
I just wanted to make sure. I thought maybe I would have to console you, but you seem to have bounced back pretty well.
Surely, as a chef, you know that sometimes you burn stuff. And while it's not the way I wanted to have today go, I know that it's just a fact of life in the line of work we're in.
Some people fight that. They don't think that they should ever make mistakes.
He sounds like he appreciates the fact that I'm rolling with this. I just don't know any other way to be. If I got upset over every mistake I made, I would spend my life upset. And what's the fun in that? I ask, tossing my head, which doesn't have nearly the effect that it would if my hair was not caught up in a hairnet.
That's a great way to look at life,
he says, turning back to his work. I wouldn't want him to cut himself, so I'm glad he's paying attention to it, but I have to admit I liked his eyes on me, too. I like that look. I like the way it makes me feel, warm and happy and somehow admired in a way that I haven't felt in a very long time, if ever. There's definitely something about having a man admire you. And to have a man like Lucas, someone who is successful and confident, not just admire me, but be willing to sacrifice in order to help me means a lot. I owe you, I say. He shakes his head without looking up. He's gotten down to the last little bit, and he needs to pay attention so he doesn't cut his fingers.
You do not. I want to. I'm enjoying this, and I think it's actually going to change the dynamic of our relationship.
I remember what I said about us getting along until Saturday night at midnight. I stupidly had the idea that we could just go back to being the way we were. I have an actual food processor. You don't have to do that by hand. I say, realizing I should have offered that a long time ago.
I think there's something nice about doing it by hand. Not that I would never use a food processor, but if at all possible, I always shred my cabbage by hand.
So now I'm thinking that he's not afraid to do things the hard way if he thinks there's a benefit there. Or maybe just because it's good. I think about what that means, and I can't shake the idea that Lucas is far different than what I thought, and far better as well.
Chapter 8. Lucas.
I think that's about it for today,
Kate says as I put the last container of coleslaw in the fridge. She followed me over from her shop, and we're using the available space in my cooler. My assistant has been barbecuing all day, but I can tell that he did not get as much done as I would have if I had been here. Still, I can't find it in my heart to regret this at all. I've had a great day with Kate. I don't want to see it end. You must be tired, I say. She nods as the door to the cooler closes, and she leans against it.
Although the ending of this day was so much better than the beginning, I was in a panic because I didn't think I was going to be able to do everything that I needed to. Most of that change was because of you. I truly, truly appreciate what you've done for me.
Her tone is sincere, and there's no doubt that she means what she says. I told you, when you win, I win too. The town wins. How could I not?
Easily. There are lots of people who are in competition with each other, and it's not a friendly one. You changed the dynamic here, and I'd love to take credit for it too, but it's you.
We talked about how hard it is sometimes to change your mind. You didn't have to go along with it. You could have stubbornly stuck with the idea that we're rivals, working together for a short amount of time. I assume that's not the way you think anymore? I have some ulterior motives for this question. I've admired Kate for a while, and I'm really hoping that she's going to answer yes.
I guess it would be really rude of me to take advantage of you and then turn around and stab you in the back after I get what I want. I hope I'm not that kind of person.
That's a yes, I say, prodding. There's a part of me that isn't sure, and I really want so much for it to be true.
Yes, that's a yes,
she says, looking at me with a little grin, her eyes narrowed. Would you be interested in some meat and cheese? I have some sparkling grape juice, too, if you'd be interested in a little after-work snack. I can see her thinking about it. I shouldn't care so much, but there's so much of me that wants her to say yes. I want to know that she wants to spend more time with me, not just working, but wanting to enjoy my company after the work is done, the same way I want to enjoy hers.
I don't want to take even more advantage of you. You have to be tired as well. I'm not the only one who worked their butt off today.
I'm not too tired to eat. I think I'll be dead before that happens. She laughs as I had hoped and then nods her head.
Then, yes, I'd love to sit and relax and eat for a bit. Tomorrow's going to be a big day.
I nod. It's definitely going to be a big day, and I'm looking forward to it. I feel like Kate and I spent a lot of time today solidifying our relationship, building on it, finding things to admire and respect about the other, and having fun while we did it. I could be wrong, but I'm hoping that tomorrow brings more of the same. I go to my small refrigerator, where I have a tray of meat and cheese ready for snacking on while I cook. I ended up not eating it today, but I really don't regret that. I'd much rather sit with Kate and eat it this evening.
Can I look for glasses?
She asks. Sure, there's some in that cupboard, I say. She gets glasses out, and I arrange the meat and cheese tray and open up a package of crackers. It's not romantic, exactly, but it feels cozy, just the two of us in the kitchen, as we sit on bar stools on the other side of the counter from where I usually work. I feel good, like I accomplished something today, like I worked hard and things might have not turned out perfectly every single time, but I feel good about what we've done.
Are you ready for tomorrow?
She asks, and I like that she's trying to make conversation. I give a confident smile. I am. I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy watching you work, and I was impressed by the effort you put into making things perfect for your clients. How you really care about giving them value for their money and making sure that what you do is a good representation of who you are. She smiles at my words, and I feel like while I wasn't trying to flatter her, she's pleased with what I said.
That's exactly what I try to do, to treat other people the way I want to be treated, whether I'm working for someone else or now that I'm working for myself. After all, back when I was an employee and it was time for me to work, I wanted to put in the very best effort I could. Now that I'm an employer, I appreciate employees who do their best.
I nod. Most people don't think that way. They're putting in time and they're getting money in return, and they don't think about treating their employer the way they'd want to be treated if they owned the company.
I agree. I think a lot of times people are trying to game the system, or they see the company owner as rich, and they're trying to get everything they can from them.
We certainly have different perspectives on this than most people, since we're both business owners. But it is interesting that both of us have come to that conclusion. I feel like we have more in common than anything. As she turns to pull out her chair, I notice her apron. It says, "I cook as good as I look." I smile because, to me, she's beautiful. But I tasted a few of her creations today, and she is, indeed, a very good cook. When I was getting out the meat tray, I took a second to change my apron, and I see her smile as she reads it. Vegetarian is an old Indian word for bad hunter. Chapter 9. Kate.
I have to laugh at Lucas's apron. Although part of my humor is the fact that we're in these apron wars, and neither one of us has said anything. But I love that Lucas doesn't just work hard, like he's done all day, but he does it with a smile and a desire to enjoy life. I think sometimes I get focused on what I'm doing, and I forget that this is my life. If I'm not enjoying every second, then I need to figure out what the problem is and what I can do to change so that I am enjoying it. Before I know it, it's going to be over. And what's the point in living if it's not fun? And yes, I know that it's important to live in such a way that people can see Jesus in you. But surely people more easily see Jesus in a smiling person than someone who seems preoccupied and angry all the time, right?
I feel like I need to address the elephant in the room.
Lucas says as we sit down at our stools and he pours some sparkling grape juice in each of our glasses. What's that? I ask, wondering if he's going to say that he's as attracted to me as I am to him.
I'm winning the apron thing. Just saying.
He says, picking up a piece of meat and pairing it with cheese and crackers before sticking it all in his mouth. He munches happily as I digest what he just said. No way, I say, totally unwilling to concede any grounds in this turf war. I am the apron queen.
So you have to tell me how that works, since I'm the apron king,"
Lucas says, and I catch the glimmer of laughter in his eyes. My mouth opens and then closes, like a refrigerator in a bachelor pad. I can't hardly agree with him, can I? That we could be the king and queen together. Isn't that the obvious answer? But I can't say that. Otherwise, he'll know that I like him, that I don't see him as my competition somehow anymore. It's funny how working together, facing the stress of deadlines, and handling the small emergencies that crop up can bond you to someone like a date could never do. It's dealing with actual life that really shows you what a person's character is made of. And I feel like Lucas and I dealt with life all day today, and I like the way he handles things. Did I mention he's funny? And who doesn't love a man who cooks?
"You're not going to admit that we could be tied in this, are you?"
He laughs.
"Competitive much?"
I know I should be upset about this, but he's right. I don't like to lose. It's not because I don't want to lose that I didn't say anything, because if we're king and queen together, what does that say? He sits for a moment and studies the cracker and meat in his hand. I'm not sure whether he's thinking about what I said or trying to figure out a way to say it where it doesn't sound like he's trying to put us together. Is he trying to put us together? I think about that for a while as I thoughtfully chew my cheese. He has a great taste in cheese. I'm not even sure what kind this is, but he has a little bit of maple syrup in a small cup, and I dipped my cheese in it, and the flavors are just out of this world. But it's a little hard to think when half of my brain is trying to figure out how I can recreate this in a dish. Finally, I don't know what else to say but, are you trying to make us a couple? That sounds a little bit more than maybe what he was doing. A couple? Seriously? Do I even go there? But why not? Should I spend my life beating around the bush and not saying things I wish I would have said, and then losing the opportunity and living with regret? I don't want to do that. It feels like Lucas is the perfect foil for me, and while I don't know exactly how I feel about him, we've only worked together for a day, I do know that I admire everything that I've learned about him today.
"Would that be a problem for you?"
He asks, picking up his sparkling grape juice and staring at the bubbles in it before turning to me, with his deep, thoughtful eyes, and seeming to stare into my very soul. My mouth goes dry, and my fingers clench in my lap, probably to keep them from shaking. My heart seems to be pounding, and suddenly it feels like there's not enough air in the room. That would not be a problem for me. Can I say that?
Chapter 10. Lucas. I watch as emotions flow across her face. She's surprised, thoughtful, interested, and a host of others I'm not sure about. I'm afraid I've been too forward, and I should have given us another day to work together before the midnight deadline. I thought I would ask her about this then. Surely after 2 days of working with me, she would know whether or not she wanted to be with me, and I would have some time to charm her, although I don't want her to like me just because she thinks she has to, or because I've done something fake to convince her that I'm something that I'm not. I guess I see politicians that way. They lie and tell you whatever you want to hear so that you'll vote for them, but in reality, they're just putting on whatever mask they have to get you to do what they want. When they get into office, their true colors come out. Unfortunately, by then it's too late. With politicians, though, we can see the record, we can research, we can figure out what they're going to do based on what they've done. But are people and relationships the same way? I can't look at her past relationships and guess what she's going to do in one with me. Especially since she feels different to me than every other woman I've ever been with. Not that there's a whole slew of them. And, truth be told, I want to be different to her, too. Is that too much to ask? You don't have to answer that. But I was wondering, why do you think we haven't gotten along for the last 5 years? I mean, maybe she doesn't like me. Maybe there's just something about me that she hates. Could I depend on her to tell me the truth?
Well, first of all, I felt like you didn't like me.
Why?
I don't know. I guess, after the first barbecue contest, I felt like you were out to get me.
I sit and digest that for a moment. I can tell she's being honest, and I don't want to dismiss her out of hand, although I feel like it is not the slightest bit true.
You know, that might be one of those things where you see what you're looking for, you know?
She says before I can say anything. After all, I don't really have any way to answer that other than to deny it, but to deny it is almost saying that her feelings aren't legit. And I definitely don't want to do that. Really? You wanted to see a competitor in me?
Yeah. I mean, when you beat me, I guess I saw you as trying as hard as you could to win, and that made me feel like you wanted me to lose, which of course is true.
Not really, I protest. She tilts her head and gives me a look that says, "Be honest." I lift my shoulders.
If you want to win, people around you have to lose.
She's right. But I didn't deliberately say, looking at you specifically, I want Kate to lose.
I know, but I think my brain took the idea that you wanted to win, so obviously the people around you have to lose, and ran with that, making it bigger and worse than it actually was. Isn't that a human thing?
I think so. I think we have a tendency to focus on the negative and make it huge.
I think that's what I did. Maybe I just assumed you didn't like me.
And I guess I could tell that you assumed that, and I kind of picked up your cues and
started to hate me too.
She fills in the blanks for me, but that's not true. I shake my head. Can I admit this? I know that probably would be the reasonable thing to do, but I never hated you. And if we're being honest, I always had a little bit of a crush on you. Her eyes open wide, and she seems to choke a bit on her cracker. She grabs her drink and drains it, and then pops off the bar stool.
Oh my goodness, look at the time,
she says, even though we just sat down 20 minutes ago.
I really need to get back. There is so much to do tomorrow, and I definitely need to get a good night's rest.
I stand slowly, knowing that I scared her and wishing that I would have kept my mouth shut. I thought we were ready for a deeper conversation, but obviously I was wrong. I had known I should let 2 days go by before I even asked her if she wanted to do something with me, but I guess I just couldn't wait. I've liked her for so long, and I really thought we were having a pretty good heart-to-heart conversation. Not that I'm any good at those. I'm terrible with this whole romance and love thing, and I feel dejected as she mumbles about what a great time she had, but how she really needs to go and she's sorry for running off, and then she runs off. I watch the door close behind her and see her hurry across the street in the glow of the Christmas decorations that are hanging on the Christmas tree streetlights. Some flakes of snow fall softly to the ground as she disappears inside her shop. I see her turn around and lock her door, and she looks up for just a moment. Our eyes meet. I'm standing right where she left me, with the street and the glass between us, and our eyes hold for a few moments which feel like hours as I wait for her to slowly unlock the door, come back across the street, and tell me she feels the same. I know it's an empty hope, and she turns around and disappears into the dark interior of her store. Chapter 11. Kate.
I shouldn't have run away last night. It made things awkward this morning when Lucas showed up before daylight, ready to help and wearing an apron that said, "I only smoke the good stuff." I'm not sure if it was the apron or if it was just the fact that he didn't try to pick up from last night, but gave me my space and acted like nothing had happened. I felt like I was the only one making things awkward, which made it easier for me to stop. The morning went without a hitch, as both of our assistants came, and we really started cranking things out. By 11, we had both orders almost ready, and I left to deliver the first one. I have a little van I use. It's got a custom interior, which keeps the hot things hot and the cold things cold, and while I probably didn't need anything fancy to deliver the food to the end of town, it's what I have. Phyllis is with me to help me carry things in. We take the back streets because they have the entire main street shut down for the festivals. Can you believe Lucas has actually shown up 2 days in a row? Phyllis says before she's barely gotten settled in the driver's seat. Yeah, I'm surprised, for sure. Less surprised now that I know the kind of man he is. Why did I run away? I wanted to respond in kind, wanted to let him know that I felt the same way, but I froze, then got scared, and even by the time I had walked across the street and gotten into my own shop, I still couldn't bring myself to take a different path. I wish I would have, because now the ball is in my court. I'm the one who rejected him, so if I want that relationship, I'm the one who's going to have to reach out. Which is hard because since I rejected him, he might want to reject me, just to give me a taste of my own medicine. Although even as I'm thinking that, I know that's not the kind of man Lucas is, and he wouldn't reject me just for the fun of rejecting me. If he truly has feelings for me and has for a long time, could that be true? Then me rejecting him is not going to change that overnight. He's so good at what he does, and it's always fun to work with him. Did you see his apron this morning? The second one? An apron is just a cape on backward? So funny. Phyllis laughs, and then she glances over at me. I really like the one you're wearing now. It's probably one of my favorites. It's my apron that says, "Whatever happens, we're eating it." I like it too. It kind of goes with my attitude. I mean, I don't have that attitude toward clients, but toward life. Whatever happens, I'm going to deal with it. She chatters on about how much she likes Lucas, talking about all the different things that he did today, and she doesn't seem to notice that I don't participate much in the conversation. I'm grateful when we're able to stop and get out and deliver the food. This does not require us to stay and supervise. There are volunteers for that. I will have to go back and pick up some of my supplies at the end of the day. So, once we unload, we drive home. As I walk in, I see that Lucas has changed his apron. Now it says, "I hate being sexy, but I'm the chef, so I can't help it." I look away quickly. I switched aprons in the car too, and mine says, Be nice to me or I'll poison your food. I do notice his look before I turned completely away. He lifts his brows and looks intrigued, rather than offended. I want to be upset about that, but instead, my overriding feeling is laughter. Laughter that his reaction would be so unpredictable. He and his assistant have gathered up the food for the second festival, and they leave while I start cleaning the kitchen. I told Phyllis that once we delivered the food, she could have the rest of the day off. After all, there are 2 festivals going on in town, and I'm sure she'd like to hit both of them up. I can handle the mess. It will take me the rest of the day most likely, and then I'll have to drive around and pick up my supplies. But the money I made today should be more than worth it. Maybe Lucas has the same idea, because when he comes back, his assistant gets out of the car but doesn't come into my shop. Instead, he walks around the building to where his car is parked. Lucas walks in, and I don't want to look up, but I have to see his apron. Love is in the air. No, wait, that's barbecue. My heart sinks. Did he choose that apron on purpose? Or is he just trying to be funny? Maybe he's trying to walk back his comments of the night before. He comes around the sink, not saying anything, but looking. I make him wait, even though I know what he wants. Finally, I put one of the dirty pans I've been scrubbing in the rack and step back. He sees my apron. Get your fat pants ready. He laughs out loud.
That's a good one,
he says, grabbing a dish towel and picking up the pan I just set down. You don't have to help with this, I protest immediately. You've done everything you said you were going to do, and I appreciate your help.
If both of us are working on it, we'll get done faster, and maybe we'll both have a little bit of time to enjoy the festivals. Chapter 12. Lucas. Kate has accepted my offer of help, but it feels reluctant. I'm not sure if my presence makes her uncomfortable or if she's uncomfortable because of her reaction last night. I want to ask her about it. I wait until we've worked together for a while, chatting about the food we cooked and the recipes we used, and even sharing a few almost secrets of the trade. She changes into an apron that says, "Cooking is love made edible," and I like that one. It's not funny exactly, but it's true. Maybe I have a little bit of trouble with romance and telling people how I feel in a way that doesn't make them run out the door. But cooking is my love language. It's how I show people I love them and how I spoil them. It's how I tried to bridge the gap between Kate and me. I like cooking for her. Not necessarily for her to eat, but for her business. It's how I show love. I wonder if she's figured that out. Surely not. It's just one more apron in a long line of them. I take my first apron off, and the second one says, "May the forks be with you." She scrunches up her nose as soon as she sees it. "What's that supposed to mean?" she asks, looking in confusion at the saying one more time, as though she might not have seen it correctly. You know, Star Wars, "May the Force be with you," I say, but no understanding dawns across her face, and I get a bit of a sinking feeling in my stomach. Don't tell me you've never seen Star Wars. "Okay, I won't," she says, sounding a little uncertain, but there's that grin that always seems to take over, no matter how bad things get. I'm going to have to fix this huge gap in your social education. "That I haven't seen Star Wars?" she asks, sounding surprised. "I didn't realize that was a requirement of being a U.S. citizen." It is. I'm not sure where you missed that in high school civics, but it is imperative that you watch it at least once in your lifetime, preferably 20 times, and 30 would be better.
Who has time to watch a movie 30 times?
She asks, and then she frowns.
Is it a movie?
Wow, you need me. I had no idea how badly until this conversation. She laughs as I had intended, and it makes my heart smile to hear that sound. She puts the last pan into the dishwater, and it's time for me to ask the thing I've been waiting to ask her all day. Why did you run away from me last night? I hold my breath. We agreed to meet at the church at midnight tonight, but there's really no point in meeting if she ran away because she's uncomfortable with me because I was being too pushy.
I guess I was a little scared.
That doesn't tell me anything, and I want her to elaborate. I give her a little bit of time without saying anything, but she doesn't. In a bad way? I ask. Am I really scary?
No, you're not the slightest bit scary, but I suppose it was just new. The idea of thinking about you as anything other than a rival. I know that we had been talking a lot during the day, but I was still adjusting. I appreciate what you did, and I was trying to reconcile all that in my mind. I just was trying to get my head wrapped around you.
Have you now? I ask, knowing that I'm pushing, and I should just back off. I say as much. Sorry, just take your time. Think about it all you want to. We have the rest of our lives.
I would never expect someone to wait on me for the rest of their life, just to figure out whether or not I have feelings for him.
All right, I say, wondering if that means she's going to tell me now.
Would you like to walk around the festival some?
She asks as she hands me the last dish and lets the dirty water out. Sure, I say, disappointed because she changed the subject, but encouraged because she wants to spend time with me. I'm not going to turn it down, as much as I wish that she was telling me that she feels the exact same way about me that I feel about her. Of course, I didn't exactly declare my feelings, but I want to. I want to see if we can be more than partners in the kitchen. I want to be partners in life. Yeah, definitely that's too fast.
I'm going to change my clothes, and then I'll be ready,
she says, tossing her rag over top of the spigot and glancing around the kitchen to make sure that everything is in its place. Same. I'll be back in 15 minutes, I ask, encouraged that she is willing to walk around with me. I need to focus on what I have, or I will be upset about what I don't have, and I would rather be happy. If she ends up wanting me, I'm good with that, but if she doesn't, will I go back to having a crush on her, dealing with unrequited love, and admiring her from a distance? Eventually see her marry someone else? The idea makes my stomach feel like a bottomless pit, and I stop thinking along those lines. I'm not going to look any further than having a good time with her today. It's something I've looked forward to and wanted for years, and I'm not going to pass up the opportunity now that it's here. But if she decides she wants more, I won't turn it down. Chapter 13. Kate.
I smile as I put one last apron on. I had such a great time walking around with Lucas at the festival. We ate together, we laughed together, we played some games together. He could have been making money by selling his barbecue, but he gave that up in order to help me. And then he spent the day with me, making sure that I had a good time, Or maybe that's just the way he is. Anybody who's with him has a good time. Regardless, I look at the clock on my nightstand. It's 10 to 12. I got home 2 hours ago, took a shower, and did some soul searching. He wanted to move forward last night, and I ran away. He didn't take umbrage at that, but showed up this morning, pulling his weight in every way possible, and then spent the afternoon making sure I had a good time. He helped me bring my supplies back to the shop and helped me get everything cleaned up and put away. I can't remember a better day. I definitely wouldn't have had such fun without him. I finger the apron that I'm thinking about wearing. I didn't pick any of my aprons for any specific message, but this one I am. It's a big hint if I can go through with it. I want to. It's how I feel. I don't know why I'm hesitating. Maybe because I know he's serious, and this could be the last time I wonder about what man I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Lucas is the perfect fit for me, and while I'm not entirely sure he's thinking that way about me, I hope he is. I take the apron, put it on, and take another look around my room. I grab a hat, since it's chilly outside, and then I flip my lights off, leaving my Christmas tree lights on, and walk out of my apartment. The church isn't that far away, and I think perhaps I will run into Lucas as I walk to it. We didn't say anything about meeting as we parted this evening, and I wonder if maybe he forgot. It's been heavy on my mind all day. What in the world could he possibly be wanting to ask me to do in payment for what he did for me? Maybe this was all a ruse. I suppose I shouldn't feel that way, but part of me does, just because I've been burned in that way before. Sometimes men aren't very nice. But Lucas isn't that way. All of me feels like that, except the little voice that says that he's a man, so he could do what other men have done. I try to shush it and continue walking down the sidewalk, nodding to a few people I know in town, and watching as several people take down their festival decorations, happily smiling, as Christmas music pipes from somewhere, although I can't find the source. A few little snowflakes flutter down. We're supposed to get a few inches of lake-effect snow overnight. I say, bring it on. It's that time of year after all. The hot chocolate vendor, Tessa, who was selling hot chocolate all day, is taking her stand down. "I don't suppose you want my last cup of hot chocolate?" she asks as she looks up and sees me walking toward her. "I hate to throw it away, but I am so ready to be done." "It was so busy today. I bet you had the best day ever, if not close," I say, nodding my head and holding out my hand. I am not the kind of person who turns down hot chocolate. Ever. But I will give this to Lucas. I like the idea of not meeting him empty-handed. She hands me the last cup and says, "I haven't got the final count, but I passed my record early in the afternoon. This was a phenomenal day." We chat for a bit, but I'm very conscious of the passing of time. I don't want to be late. Maybe he won't show up, but I don't want him to think that I don't care enough to be on time. I say goodbye to Tessa and hurry down the street, my hands wrapped around the steaming hot chocolate. The church is on the edge of town, away from most of the lights, although the music has followed me here. And the snow, of course, is still coming down. It takes me a moment, but I see Lucas standing on the other side, pacing, but he stops and lifts his head as though hearing me come, although I don't know how he could. I'm not making any noise. Still, I can tell when his eyes land on me because his face breaks out in a grin. He hurries to the steps, then he waits, allowing me to close the distance between us. I stop in front of him, closer than I normally would have, but I guess after spending the day with him and thinking the things I did, I want to be close. I brought you a hot chocolate, I say, holding up the cup. It was the last one.
That's funny. I must have gotten the second to last one,
he says, holding up a hot chocolate in his hand, and I see that it is unopened, and that makes me laugh. We have gotten hot chocolate for each other and hadn't even known.
I was afraid you would forget,
he says. I owe you. Of course I'm going to find out what I need to do to pay you. His lips tighten, and he looks like he disapproves.
I didn't do that because I wanted you to feel like you owed me.
We both know I do, I say.
No, you don't. I did it because I wanted to. I wanted to spend time with you. I wanted to help you. You don't owe me anything.
Then why am I meeting you here?
Chapter 14. Lucas. What a great question. I wanted to ask her out. I wanted to see if there could be more between us. That's the goal. But the last time I started talking that way, she ran off. She's standing a little close, and I like it, but it's too tempting for me to put my arms around her, to put my fingers in her hair, to draw her close, to kiss her.
What did you want?
She asks again.
Surely you had something in mind. You seemed so sure when you said you wanted me to meet you here.
I guess at the time I was thinking that it always seemed like you and I were at odds, when, in reality, I had a crush on you. But the last time I admitted that, you ran away. I know my words are a little rushed. I don't want her to think I am admitting it again and have her run again.
I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. I told you that it was just a lot to process.
Have you had time to process it yet? I ask, hoping I don't sound impatient. I am feeling a little bit that way, but I don't want to rush her if that's not what she wants.
I have,
she says, and she looks like she knows something I don't. But the smugness in her expression makes me a little bit suspicious. And, I say, cautiously, because I'm not sure exactly what that look means.
And I chose an apron tonight with a message for you.
Maybe that's why she stopped so close to me, so I couldn't read her apron. My eyes were caught on her face as she walked toward me, and I never even thought about her apron. I step back a bit as she takes a step backward as well. My eyes go to her apron, and I see that it says, "I kiss better than I cook." My brows go up. Is she saying what I think she's saying? Is she saying what I want her to say? Her eyes drop to my apron. This is the first time I've ever worn this apron. I got it as a gift a couple of years ago. I determined that I wasn't going to wear it until I found someone to whom I could say it honestly and mean it. It says, "Kiss the cook." As she reads it, her face breaks out in a huge grin.
I think our minds are going in the same direction this evening.
There seems to be a lot of kissing in both of our thoughts, I say, hoping I'm right. She nods as she walks forward slowly, and this time, I don't fight the urge to put my hand around her shoulders and bring her closer. I bury my fingers in her hair and wish that I wasn't holding hot chocolate in my other hand. So, does that mean there's kissing on the agenda tonight?
I'm not paying for your cooking services with kisses,
She says. The services are free, but I would like a date. It doesn't have to be in exchange for anything, just because I like you. A lot.
Wasn't today a date?
She asks, tilting her head. I hadn't even thought about it like that, but I had more fun with Kate today than I've had on a date ever, and that's the truth. I suppose you're right, although none of my dates have ever been that much fun. She laughs, and then she nods and says,
I can say the exact same thing. And usually there's kissing at the end of the dates, but we just said that we would see each other later.
We can make up for lost time, I suggest helpfully, or maybe hopefully. Her smile gets bigger if that's possible, and she steps closer as she presses herself against me, putting her free arm around my neck, running her hand around the back of my head, and tugging it down. I can only assume that this means that she does want me to kiss her, and I am only too happy to oblige. I've been thinking about this for years and have been thinking about her as well. We fit together just as well as I thought we would, and I feel like there's a pretty good future ahead of us. But I'm not thinking about the future right now. I'm thinking about pressing my lips to hers, hearing her sigh, feeling her heartbeat hard against my chest, and wishing that the night, or the kiss, would never end. I know we are both reluctant as we separate and look deep into each other's eyes. The statement on your apron is 100% true, and I already thought you were the best cook I've ever met. My words are a little bit breathless, but they come from my soul, and they're absolutely the most honest thing I've said all day. My words make her smile, and she looks at me with such admiration and humor in her gaze that I want to lower my head and kiss her again.
I feel like I just need to obey your apron,
She says, and that's when I know she wants to kiss me again, too. Never defy the apron, I say. Our lips meet again. I know we can stand here kissing all night, but I want to make sure that I'm going to see her again before we separate. Maybe I can even walk her home. I know in my heart and my very soul that I've found the woman that I want to cook with for the rest of my life, and I hope she feels the same way about me. I lift my head, and she whispers softly,
I think I found a pastime that I love more than cooking.
I hope you don't try that out on anyone but me.
No, it's only you.
I kiss her again, and before I walk her home, we've agreed that the two of us together are better than the two of us apart, and I feel like we're laying down the foundation for the rest of our lives, and that's something I couldn't be happier about. Hi, this is Jay, and thanks for listening. If you're ready for another great Jessie Gussman audiobook, here's one we think you might like. Or check out our latest releases. Don't forget to subscribe to Say with Jay, give this video a thumbs up, and tell us what you liked in the comments.